13th is it's a documentary that looks at how the US went from ending slavery to having one of the biggest prison systems in the world. This film explains that even though the 13th Amendment abolished slavery, it had a loophole that allowed forced labor for people convicted of crimes. That loophole ended up contributing to the rise of mass incarceration, which especially affected Black Americans. The movie takes us through a timeline that basically shows different eras like Jim Crow, the war on drugs, and today's policies. And it explains how fear, media, and politics all played a part in growing the prison system. In the end, 13 shows that systematic racism in criminal justice is still a problem today and wants viewers to understand how deeply it's built into the system. Step into a brighter future with Friedman's Fresh Start soap, the soap that brings cleanliness, confidence, and progress to every American household. Why choose our soap? It's made of pure southern cottonseed oil, gentle enough for hard-working hands after long days in fields or factories, and fresh scent that lasts through every chore. Now, the story of 13th spans across the entire timeline of the United States after the war, starting from 1865 with the passing of the 13th Amendment. And the film explores how American society has repeatedly found ways to control Black Americans even after slavery ended. Even after slavery ended. This documentary basically moves through major periods of U.S. history: Reconstruction, Jim Crow segregation, the Civil Rights Movement, and the rise of mass incarceration from the late 1900s to today. And each era is shaped by things like racial tension, political strategy, and laws that decided who was considered criminal and why. This documentary also features a lot of influential leaders, activists, and thinkers like Angela Davis, Michelle Alexander, and Bryan Stevenson, who explain how these policies about crime, drugs, and policing have affected Black communities negatively. The film 13th is it's mostly historically accurate because it actually uses real laws, statistics, and interviews of experts to show how the criminal justice system developed after the Civil War. And it does correctly explain how the 13th Amendment ended slavery, but it left a loophole that but it does correctly explain how the 13th Amendment ended slavery, but left a loophole that allowed forced labor to continue for people convicted of crimes, and it accurately connects this to events later on, like Jim Crow laws, the war on drugs, and rising mass incarceration. One of the creative liberties this film takes is that it focuses on it focuses heavily on one main argument, which is that the prison system is a direct continuation of slavery, so it simplifies any other argument or and no any other complicated political issues, or it doesn't show other factors that also affect crime policy. Still, I think this film actually helps students understand history because it puts everything onto a clear timeline and it shows how racism can be built into laws and not just from personal attitude. It makes the past events feel connected to today, which I think helps students see how history isn't just something that happened and it happened in the past written onto a textbook, but something that still shapes society now. As the United States enters a new era of rebuilding, you need materials that can stand the test of time. That's why American Iron and Steel Works provides the finest iron and strongest steel for every project across the growing nation, with high quality and durable steel for all you could think of. Now, the scene where Angela Davis puts the system on trial is probably one of my favorite scenes in the documentary because she sort of flips the script and forces the viewers to see how unfair the justice system is. And she speaks so loudly and confidently that it makes her stand out more because it's powerful to watch her challenge the system so directly. And it just makes the moment feel more intense and important. It also basically describes the main point of the documentary that mass incarceration didn't happen by accident. It was designed.